Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Please keep it coming. Yes. Thank you. Welcome in, everybody. Spring has sprung. The time for pastels, past its sell-by date Easter candy, and my seasonal allergies. Oh, folks, I'm so sorry. There is a potential weather event on the streets of Los Angeles. I think it's time we check in with planet Earth's favorite meteorologist, Larry Heron. Larry, give us some good news.
Hey, man. Hey, what do you think about this? A Pee Wee Herman bicycle experience, right? So Pee Wee Herman himself delivers the bike to you, and then it gets stolen by what's-his-name, and then you go on an adventure to try to find the bike back, right? It's like 24 hours of running around whatever city you live in trying to get your bike back, just like in the movies. You need to answer me. It's nice. It's still nice out.
Thank you, Larry. You really are the Al Borland to my Tim the Toolman Taylor. Busters, bust holes, busties, bust boys, bustaroos, bust buddies. Busters, today's guest is one of my great friends. She is one of the most adventurous, free-spirited, kind, intelligent, witty, just all-around hilarious people I've ever met. So springtime is the perfect time to share with you my interview with my dear friend Saru Ramanan. In honor of her, I'm toasting the Fancy Free. Fancy Free. It's an old fashioned, but like way better. Instead of dumping in the simple syrup or the sugar cube, just use some maraschino liqueur, put a big old twist on this puppy, and you've got yourself Saru Ramanan in a glass. Fancy Free. If you want to learn how to make this cocktail, check out our social channels and subscribe to our YouTube channel, where the sexy bartender will take you through each delicious step. Damn, that's good. Planet Earth, I give to you, my dear friend, Saru Ramanan. Saru!
Hi, Kevin. I missed you.
I miss you so much. I'm so happy to see your face.
Likewise. Your beautiful, beautiful face. You look good.
Well,
You look healthy. You look spry.
there may be a little makeup helping there. I'm not gonna lie, but
Girl,
this is the
preach.
magic of Hollywood.
It takes a village.
It takes a village. Hey, what do we have here?
Today, I'm glad to say that we both are sipping on some homemade chai.
It's Chai Chats.
So this is my mom's recipe because the way people make chai varies from region to region, language to language, family to family. We can get into this, but in North India, you might get a different blend of spices. People have different preferences, but my mom, let's just go ahead and call this Mama Ramanan's chai, takes it pretty straight up, strips it down to its essentials. So we're talking about very specific tea brand, Wag Bakri, and then just ginger and cardamom, and let the magic happen there. So that's the only way I know how to drink it, and I've been on the chai train pretty sincerely now for a few months, years.
I mean, this is incredible. Like, this is amazing. Like, I'm not much of a coffee or tea drinker in general. This is like nuanced and like carefully, I can taste all of the different flavors.
There's so much in the cardamom that I think it kind of does the heavy lifting. Ginger adds just the right amount of bite. I encourage everyone to experiment, but it means a lot that we can have chai together. This is like the 4 p.m. ritual.
Absolutely. And thanks, Mama Ramadan, for this. So before we move on from chai, at the recommendation of you and your hubby...
Oh my gosh! You got the family pack.
We got
I like it because the size of the child's face is so prominent. I think that dictates like buying behavior.
I mean, it
How do you
really
say
is
no?
kind of the size of my face.
Have you tried any parlay cheese? I mean, this is like
I have
the
not.
tea biscuit of the country. Okay. I want to track your dipping behavior because there's a sweet spot for how long you dip said biscuit in the tea.
Okay.
Over 2 seconds, it all might disintegrate.
Oh
so
my
it's like it's an
gosh.
art. Go ahead, play around with
I'm
it.
like nervous, and I might want it to if it disintegrates in there, it's just like cookie tea, right? Okay.
Honestly, you can't go wrong. It's very absorbent.
Oh my gosh.
This makes me
This
so
is
happy.
tops here, guys. When is it? We got to get at least 30 or 40. No, I think there's 50 producers today. We got to get that going because this is to die for. Oh my
It's
god.
gonna be on your rider.
This
You're
is
gonna be
This is my new favorite snack, and it's really good because I have enough to last me for the next 5 years. Okay. So we went down to your wedding in the Bahamas. We got to meet your family, and I was completely blown away by their hospitality, by the way they welcomed us in, by the way that they basically refused for us to not have something going into our mouths or drinking or eating or anything. It was incredible, and that magic it's real. I mean, we showed up at that house that you guys were staying in, and it was just like, okay, well, I guess we all are living here now, and it really did feel like that. How did growing up in a family like that, how did that shape like who you are today?
The hospitality front, I remember, there's this concept in Indian or Hindu culture, like guest is God. And there's some parables about how, an incarnation of a deity would, come disguised as like a beggar and approach someone's house. And the person who let them in and gave them food then realized that they were kind of serving the divine and then received many blessings. So it's kind of like you never know who a person is. So always bring people into your house, offer them food, make them some tea. Gotta have some Parle G biscuits. I think my family tends to be one that values experiences over, belongings. But
Yeah.
either way, I think it boils down to like essentially our ability to like laugh and laugh at each other to kind of get through tough times. And like there's a baseline commitment to each other. I think there is a push towards kind of consensus building and like ultimately so much love. Like I can't get off the phone with my mom without saying I love you 60 times. Like she ends conversation, she's like, okay, love, 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 love you. Okay, love to Phil, love you,
gosh.
love your Dogzilla.
Your father was such a joy to get to know, and he wanted to know every single one of your friends by name. He wanted to receive phone numbers. He wanted to talk about our occupations and our families. And I honestly, that has stuck with me. And I've mentioned it to you before, but I have done more to get to know people and like hold myself accountable to like give people my attention because of the way that he and your family acted, and the hospitality that they provided is something that I try to pride myself on. And so like I was just so inspired by that trip for so many reasons, but your family was such a joy to get to know.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it means the world to hear. And my dad taking notes on our friends is age old. I'm like Palm Pilot, BlackBerry. And I think he was just like, so we were talking about you guys, and I was like, oh, you remember Kevin from the wedding? He like helped with the drinks, and he read the Bob Dylan song, and my dad's like, oh yes. And their second dog is named Stitches. And you know what? Like as a kid, I was just like burning with embarrassment. I'm like, stop taking notes on people I know. Now that I'm old, I'm like, that is a baller move.
A quite historic thing happened in our world, and specifically here in the United States. Kamala Devi Harris became the first female, the first Black American, and the first first person of Asian descent, specifically Indian, to hold executive office in the United States of America. I think it first of all deserves a round of applause. I'm sorry, it's getting loud. There's like 50, there's 60 producers here. They're clapping. Everyone's celebrating. But what an amazing what an amazing thing to be alive for, to witness, especially during this unbelievable time in our country. As a person of Asian descent, as an Indian American woman, like, what did that feel like for you?
I've been thinking about this, and I don't have a very clear answer, because obviously, like, it's moving beyond representation, right? Beyond representation in the media. I mean, I think like the past 10, 15 years, we've seen an explosion of South Asian talent, and more representation in comedy, which is fantastic, right? More people in the writer's room, more stand-up. Like, it's super cool to see because you get better results with diversity. But moving out of media into something that is in a leadership role and a policy making role, it's a huge point of pride. The best part is, though, like for my parents, they've been tracking like everything that's going on with her Indian side of their family. So her mom is originally from Tamil Nadu, which is the state where my family's from. And so we're like, yeah, we got it.
I didn't realize that. That's so cool.
super cool. So, but for me, I'm also like, all right, we have a California senator. So it's like, I think it's a huge sign of progress, the but I almost love that it normalizes things, that female leadership, South Asian, Black Americans, that this is going to be the new norm. And I think to the extent that it's less and less of a big deal, like that's the real win.
I wanted to talk to you about, you mentioned living in a lot of different places. I wanted to talk to you about that because I didn't have that experience. My dad had that experience. He was a military baby. I was actually born in Puerto Rico because my dad was in the military, but I don't remember it. And then I just lived in the same town for almost my whole life until I decided I got to get the hell out of here. What was it like for you to grow up in several different places, including really 2 different countries, essentially? How has that kind of shaped you in the way that you live your life currently?
Both my parents were born and raised in India, in Tamil Nadu. So my dad moved to British Columbia for graduate school in 1968. And in 74, my parents had an arranged marriage. It's going great. So props to them. Still staying
They
strong.
like to joke about it. They talk about it. It's a part of who they are.
So my mom had to fly after her wedding from the tropics in southern India to northern British Columbia. And they rocked it out. So my dad's family was there, his mother, father, sister. And that was the 70s for them. And so every once in a while, my dad will say something that's just like so hilariously Canadian. Like we were talking about grizzly bears, like, after traveling to Montana. And he's like, oh, yes, grizzly bears can be a real nuisance, or like, or like dealing with moose or, like there's something that's like hilariously Canadian about them. It's interesting for me to think that my parents have spent so much time in Canada, because they also think of them as American. And now most recently they were living in Texas. But I think this bouncing around is, I don't know, it's something about like, it touches on like not holding on to tangibles like place, right? Like if you have your people, if you like your short list of like what you need, like keys, wallet, cell phone, spouse, maybe, like that's all you really need. And it's interesting. I think there are pros and cons to not being beholden to space. Like they're not precious about any of the houses we've lived in or any of the areas we lived in. And we spent the most time in Cleveland, which is where I grew up. And so when they moved out of that house, I was really sentimental. I was like, second grade through after college. This was a big chapter of my life.
Sure.
And it was funny how they were just like, yeah, it's cool. We'll keep some stuff. We'll get rid of some stuff. It's okay. Yeah.
God,
it's
that's
just
beautiful.
a house. Like the only constant in life is change. I feel like that should be on my family's like crest.
Have you felt weird about like aging? I've never felt weird about it. I feel like each year's like, ooh, I'm like more of a real person than I was the year before.
I'm really settling into the fact that like I'm officially old. So for example, we were just in Richmond, Virginia, and the one radio station that was really good was like classic hip hop, and it was oldies hip hop. And the fact that it was like radically different from the hip hop station, and it was all the songs I liked, and I knew all the words. I was like, first of all, we've been alive for like the turn of the wheel to happen. So now that there's oldies hip hop, because hip hop was always about youth. It was relatively new, like coming out of the 80s. It like wasn't recognized in the Grammys for so long.
Yeah.
And now there's an oldies hip hop station, and it's the most appropriate one for me.
Well, this is perfect because it's time for Saru's hip hop quiz.
1 2 1 2. Time to test and see if she's a lyrical whiz. We're gonna put her on the spot. Saru's hip hop quiz. I bet she slays it.
That's right. A quiz just for Saru, all about hip hop of the old school variety. That's your hint. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. It's a very simple game. I'm going to give you for each question a set of lyrics from a hip hop song. And then I'm going to give you multiple choice for who that artist is.
I think I can do this.
Okay, here we
I've been
go.
training for this my whole life.
Question number 1. Here's the lyrics. She's got class and style, street knowledge by the pound. Baby never act wild, very low key on the profile. Do I even need to give you multiple choice, or you want to just call it out?
I mean, catching feelings is a no. Let me tell you how it goes.
Herb's the word, spins the verb.
It's Blackstreet, no diggity.
Boom. Ding, 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 ding. Question number 2. I laid all them busters down. I let my gat explode. Now I'm switching my mind back into freak mode. If you want skirts, sit back and observe. I just left a gang of those over there on the curb.
Nate Dogg and Warren G. Regulate.
Mount up.
Regulators.
Mount up. Question number 3. This one may be a little tricky. Good luck with that. You're taking a stand. You spit, I'ma sit. We'll see where we land. I'm gonna give. Do I need to give you?
I know. I know. Can I guess blind?
You can guess blind.
Is that from Alexander Hamilton?
It's from Hamilton. It was tricky. It was not a 90s hip hop, but hip hop nonetheless, and maybe inspired by. Lynn talks a lot about how he was inspired by that old school.
And their credits.
Hip-hop.
Their credits to like very, very classic hip hop songs and allusions.
Let's just celebrate the fact that you just got 3 for 3 and won Saru's hip hop quiz. There are 40 people here singing your praises, and I'm so proud of you. You didn't even need the multiple choice. I didn't even need to read them. That's how lethal you are at this game. You and Phil are like outdoor heroes, and you guys go on these huge massive hikes and sometimes for days and camping, and your dog is into it, and it's a little bit the opposite of how we are. We're a little more city slickers, but we do like to get out and do that stuff. What is it about that experience, the mountains and the outdoors, and kind of that freedom that appeals to you so much?
Well, one thing that I think is interesting is that kind of like in line with rock and roll, the outdoors, it wasn't something that was given to me as a kid, meaning like my parents didn't take me camping, and they also didn't have like a bunch of Zeppelin LPs. You know, I had to like discover certain aspects of American culture on my own and decide what I like and what fit. As I got older, I had one of the most pivotal experiences of my life. So right after undergrad, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I signed up to volunteer for a couple months at an orphanage in Nepal. And being in Nepal, I mostly stayed in Kathmandu, but on that first trip, took a few little trekking trips into the foothills, got the lay of the land in the Himalaya. And I was just looking, I'm like, there's this world of travel and exploration and experience that is centered around the outdoors. And I'm like, these are the tallest mountains in the world, and I can't think of anything else but like being by them. And so I just kind of had these two tandem tracks in my life of like service, maybe grassroots nonprofit work, or like social problem solving. It's like who I am. I'm really interested in that. But also the outdoors is just like a soul calling. I also think in line with that like perpetual search for a sense of self, there's something really human about being in the outdoors. That like, and then when you're kind of in the grind, you're hiking with the pack on, it's a meditative state. And there are times where it's like been a really hard hike, and I'm just catch myself going like, this too shall pass. And there's something about that where it's like almost like monkish or something, or like self-flagellating.
Totally.
Where it's this kind of beautiful, liberating challenge, a physical challenge. So I think you have kind of like an essential human experience of being in the wilderness, seeing natural beauty, and kind of like this rhythmic, meditative, physical push that has been like for most of my adult life, like the cure to all, oh my God, I'm going crazy. I'm in my head. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about this job. I don't know where I'm supposed to live. Like that's been such a constant in my life.
Oh.
And it's easy. There's also a lot, I can't remember where I heard this line, but it was like the moment I realized that hiking was just walking, I realized, I can hike. And so I think it's like a very low bar to entry, because it's like, just go walk around in nature. You guys are the best. I love you.
I love you too, Saru. Thank you so much for doing this. We love
My
you.
pleasure.
We will
Thank
see you
you.
soon. The only constant in life is change. I don't know about y'all, but I'm having a hard time keeping up these days. Seems like things are changing by the day, by the hour, hell, by the second. There's so many things changing, I don't even know what to do. Big baggy jeans are back. Taylor Swift's re-recording her first album. People are adopting monitor lizards as pets. They're changing my pocket. There's change. I need to change my clothes. I need to change my hair. Changes. Ooh, I had a lot of chai. What are we doing? Oh, change. Change is inevitable. And what I'm learning is, if we're willing to accept that, adapt, grow with it. Turn and face the change, change. Yeah, I drank a lot of chai. It's going to be what makes us who we are. Saru said, it's not about bringing the tangibles along with you. And maybe over the last year, we've all experienced that more than ever, right? It's about the experiences we have, the people we have. Maybe sometimes we should seek out change. Changing our environment and the people that we're with and the food that we eat and the music that we listen to and the dances that we do. That's how we'll evolve, I think. I don't know. Just something to think about, my people. Until next time, I'm sending you springtime love, fancy cocktails, fancy free, and a big vaccinated kiss. KOC, Audi 5000. Oh, Salamander Hamilton.